Hey y'all, hopefully all of you can hear me. So I see Mendez family, Sarah Lee, just say the word. So hi to all of you. I look kind of rough today, not wearing a stitch of makeup. My skin is breaking out, so I was like, nope, not putting anything on my face right now. Just one of those days. Hi Linda. And if you notice, the background behind me is kind of changing. I'm trying to get everything kind of boxed up. All the stuff that I don't need on an everyday basis for the move to the new studio, because I have probably boxed up 2,000 things and still have 2 million more to go. Hi, DM Cass and Mary Butterworth and Tamika. Hi, Diana and Diane. But yeah, no. So we've been doing that. Cameron had a doctor's appointment today for back to school checkups. And then, I don't know, it's just been kind of crazy. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Melissa. They said hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Howdy from Elm, Texas, BJ. That's pretty good distance from here. But we got family in for the week, so it's going to be kind of crazy. And plus, we're trying to get ready for back to school, which, like, this week, it's the back to school madness here starts. Direct to garment printing, we pretty much do from the time we open till the time we close. It gets so crazy. But still getting videos out. Today I'm not feeling that great, but it's been hot and humid, so it's been messing with my allergies. Oh, hi, Diana. Yeah, for front shirts, it's 3.5 inches. And I saw that your question about the HTV sticking to your mat, I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's because there's a carrier sheet, so you should be able to pull that carrier sheet off. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe you can explain a little bit more. Yep, my partner in crime. Always with me. But yeah, as I said, we got all the family coming in. Oh, so yours is cutting too deep. So then what you're going to need to do, what you're using, what machine are you using? Hi, Andrea. But yeah, no, I got a lot of my makeup boxed up. Well, Diana, what machine are you using? If I don't know what machine you're using, I can't tell you what your force should be at. Silhouette Cameo 3. So typically you should be on like a 2 for the depth for your force, and the speed. You should, whenever you go in and set your automatic settings, when you do HTV smooth, that will set your settings. And I think it's 2 and 4. I could be wrong though. I'm glad you were able to be here to Yelp in the Faith for a live video. Okay, so if you're still having those issues, look at your settings where it says what you're using for the auto blade. Take and go down a number. Always do like a little test cut. Okay, so Melita, if you're confused with temperatures for vinyls, take and when you get a vinyl in, write the info either on the tube or on the clear plastic carrier sheet in Sharpie, and then that way you can keep track of your temperatures. Most things are going to heat at 330 degrees. Okay, so you ordered some HTV and they sent the transfer paper separate. Okay, so the regular HTV, now I'm not sure if you're talking about something else, but regular HTV, not the printed kind, has the transfer paper built in. You're not going to need a separate piece of transfer paper. Yes, if you're going to use the Easy Subli, you're going to need to flatten the image, because if not, it's going to try to cut all of the little insides, and you don't need that. You just need pretty much the outside of the image, unless it's text, and then you want to cut on the inside. I'm hoping to have the new studio finished within the next 30 days. We have sheetrock on 3 out of the 4 walls. My husband and my father-in-law are building out the 4th wall. So once that's done, I'm going to be taping and floating and painting and texturing and all that fun kind of stuff. I did it all in our house. I have this bad problem. Like y'all know, I like to buy things. But for stuff like that, the amount of money, like whenever we got our house, because we built our house ourselves, when we got our house quoted on doing the taping and floating and texturing, and the sheetrock was already hung and not paint or anything like that, and we were going to take and provide the supplies, the amount of money, and they were like, oh, it'll only take 2 days. They were like, but they wanted $1,600 for 2 rooms. And we were providing the supplies. And I was like, that's a lot of money an hour to do that. So I bought a book and learned how to do it. So I'm going to do it in there as well. But I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm tired and can't sleep. Okay, so let's see. Melita, how do I know which is cold peel? So pretty much most of your vinyls, other than like your real special ones like the Deco Soft, are all going to be a hot peel. And typically you can see, like, if you go to lift it when it's warm and it starts to lift up with it, what you want to go ahead and do is you can reheat press that and then peel it when it's cold, just to kind of give you a heads up. Okay, so for my easy Subli video, I think it was glitter settings, and it worked pretty well because it's a little bit thicker, but it's not too super thick. But yeah, so we've got that to do, and I don't want to tape and float the new ceiling. So I think what we're going to do is get some beadboard, because I like that look, and we're going to hang that from the ceiling. And then, because we have to, part of the thing is, because as you can see, I have a ton of lights, and my husband's going to mount them, like the ones that are for the overhead. He's going to take and mount them from the ceiling. And then we're going to mount these that are like here, as many of them we can. We're going to mount them on the wall, so that way they're not in awkward positions, kind of like they are now. But because I move around my office so much, I have to have all the lights that I use. So we're going to mount all that. So he's got to run electrical, add extra plug boxes, what are plug outlets? Sorry, I am tired. But we're going to put outlets and stuff in the ceiling so we don't have cords hanging around all over the place. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that God is good all the time. I know that losing everything and then rebuilding is so difficult. We've dealt with it because we live in an area with hurricanes, and but it's hard to do. And most of my life living in Southeast Texas, we didn't have to deal with hurricanes, but since I've had children, it seems like we have had a lot more. I'm glad you learn a lot from us, Leah. Here, Cameron, will you go take that over there and answer that? That's your granny calling. Sorry, I just knocked over the microphone. I have no idea if that sounded terrible or not. Yes, I mean, and that's part of it, is I try to always make sure to show up and do. And and I'm still trying to get things prepared for Craftsmas. And that's one of the things that is extremely important, is that with Craftsmas coming up, that's why I have to have. Someone wants to know what it's like working with your mom.
It's not bad. She makes it fun.
I make it fun?
Yeah.
He likes it because he gets spoiled. He doesn't have to do his chores whenever he's at work all during the day. And then like we'll go get Sonic or we'll go get ice cream or something like that just to spend time together. But let me tell you, this one is my little buddy. He's my little mini me. He was sick a lot whenever he was a baby. He was in and out of the hospital. So whenever he was sick, it was me and him a lot because my mother-in-law or my husband, because Caden was old enough and Nadia was old enough where they were in school and someone had to, yes, Linda, go ahead and send that over to me. But whenever he was sick, someone had to stay with him at the hospital 24/7, which was me. So we've been together like that whenever. So he didn't really go to daycare. He was sick too much. So he was with me up at work. And then like whenever he did preschool and stuff like that, he only went 4 days a week from 9 to 2. So other than that, he was with me. And then whenever he was started like elementary and stuff like that, it seemed like I was up there all day, every day, because I've done PTA for many, many years. So, I mean, and Jeremy, my husband, worked for a oil company, and he had to go out of town all the time. So anytime Jeremy would go out of town, he would come crawl in bed with me. So he's my little sidekick, my little person. He's my mini me. He's the one who acts just like me, which is pretty cool. I mean, Caden is a spitting image of his dad, and I love him to death, but Cameron's my mini me. But, and then Nadia, she's Nadia. The best way to describe it.
Yeah.
So, anyways. Well, if you need any help with doing SVGs, the pricing for basic SVGs in Blackwood is $10. You can send it over to us. We can PayPal invoice you for it. We have an artist on staff who is absolutely amazing and can pretty much do anything if it can be turned into an SVG. Now, there are some files that are pretty much a strictly print and cut kind of file, like anything that has, like you see on the picture back there where it has the watercolor images. Well, you can do an outline and do a cut image around that, but that wouldn't translate well into an SVG, if that makes sense on what I'm saying. Because anything that's got gradients won't cut correctly, because that would have to be like solid. And we do have some tutorials over creating SVGs, but that's part of the reason why I have an artist, because like for me, myself personally, I can do a lot of things without but I can do a lot of things myself, but time wise she can take and do. Oh, well, tell Julia I said happy birthday. But yeah, in Blackwood, if you will look and see, I have for Corel Draw, I have for Inkscape, and I'm still working on more. Where I run into issues the most is because I've got people wanting to learn art programs, cutting programs, about different machines, and still do all the tutorials. So it gets a little where I'm like, oh, where do I go? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so what machine are you using, Laura or Lori? I don't know. And I mean, and that's the best way to describe it, because plus trying to do, like, you know, trying to keep everything straight for different videos, it's crazy. And I cannot wait for my studio to be at the house, because that way I get, okay, so Lori, as far as I know, for taking and creating. There's not a way to tell how thick your lines are going to be cut in Cricut Explore. They have not added a real offset or outline feature into that program yet. So for stuff like that, and I use my Cricut a lot, but I don't design in Cricut. I design in either Corel Draw or I get Brandy to take and design things for me. At least my hair looks somewhat kind of put together. Okay, so Photoshop is not a vector program. You can sometimes work with vector images, but if you're wanting, a vector image is what an SVG is. An SVG, the actual definition of it, is a scalable vector graphic. Vector images, and the best way to describe what a vector image is, okay, so a JPEG, PNG, those types of things, when you stretch them out big, you can see the little squares, the pixels. Well, the way that an SVG, a vector image, EPS, Corel Draw file, Adobe Illustrator file is, it's a mathematical equation that instead of it having lines, it has curves. So no matter how big or how small you make it, and I just did that completely backwards, it keeps the, I'm trying to think of the best word to put it, the image integrity, so you don't get any blurriness. It's always going to be nice and crisp and stuff like that. So in Inkscape, you can use it for vector images. Adobe Illustrator, Corel Draw, those types of programs are outside art programs that I would recommend as far as using it for a vector image. And that's part of the reason why I'm saying, like, on certain images as well, for tracing out to make into an SVG, that they don't work because gradients are not able to be vectorized. To get that gradient pattern, you need those pixels. That's why, like, if you look at whenever you trace out a photograph, it's lines and there's no like shading, because you can't really do shading if something that's going to need to be cut. So hopefully that makes sense on what I'm saying. Yeah, no, Cricut Design Space is the worst as far as designing it, and I will say that. And I've talked about in depth what I like and what I don't like about each of the machines. Cricut is the easiest, hands down. Cricut is the absolute easiest to learn, and if you're doing art outside of it, it's great. It's easy to import an SVG, and it separates all your colors out for you. It's easy. Silhouette has a much, much, much better design program, but it's a little bit more intricate. Now, Lori, if you are looking at the Silhouette, like I have the business edition of the software for that, that will do a lot of the same things. Now, it's not as powerful as like Corel Draw or Adobe Illustrator, but it will work well. Hello, Tammy. But I've been printing away at the dye sublimation patterns for our Patreon. So that way, if you don't want to invest in the Cricut Infusible ink, you can test out dye sublimation for yourself. It's pretty fun. I like doing it. But yeah, so, and I'm excited too for the Cameo 4 to come out. I'm going to, whenever that comes out, I'm going to get the big 20-inch one because they're going to come out with 3 different sizes. There's going to be a 12-inch, a 15-inch, and then a 20-inch. And as far as I know, the price difference isn't going to be too astronomical. And if I'm going to buy a new one, I want the big one. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully that makes a little sense. Sometimes I feel like when I'm saying things, it can come off a little bit ranty. Okay, let's see. Have you found that if you don't use your dye sublimation that it dries up? Well, I mean, it's just like any other inkjet printer. So if your photo printer or your home office printer, if it's not laser, if you do not use it all the time, it will dry up. But I've only had mine about a month and a half. Now, funny story is, we have an old Epson that was converted to dye sublimation we bought whenever he was born. And we spent a lot of money on it, and we didn't use it all the time because back then the dye sublimation products were really expensive. Like as far as the shirts and things like that would go, you know, you were talking $25 for a dye sublimation tee, and people didn't want to spend that on a white shirt. So we didn't use it. The heads dried up. So now I have the sawgrass one. But I will tell you this, the SG400 is probably, it is a good home use one. But we are already looking into when we go to the ISS show in October in Dallas. So if y'all are going to Dallas, Fort Worth area in October, the ISS show, Imprinted Sportswear show, I'm going to be doing another meet and greet with specialty materials. But we're looking at purchasing a new dye sublimation machine, one that is a little bit bigger. Yes, you do have to print on it on a weekly basis. You have to. That's what I'm looking at getting is the SG 800, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go with that or if I'm going to go with something that is even a little bigger. Diana, I don't think I'm going to get rid of the small one because I do like the capabilities of the small one because it's great for smaller items, but I'm not sure if I want to go with the 800 because I think that one will only print 13 by 19, or if I'm going to get one that is actually a roll dye sublimation printer. And the reason being for that is I want something that can do a whole shirt. So that's one of the things we've talked about. No, Belina, your HTV should not come off after sitting around waiting to be sold. That is either it's not applied with enough heat or enough pressure. People always think that with HTV, it is just about the heat. A lot of it is the pressure as well. Whenever you're applying HTV, you should be able to see the texture through the vinyl unless it's a glitter. But if your regular HTV is going on it, okay, Linda, which vinyl have you had crack? Because most of them shouldn't crack. Okay, so for my mug press, my mug press is old, but it is a Phoenix Fire. I love it. Oh, thank you, Pink Pearls. The girls for my birthday, my employees got me a gift certificate so I could go get my nails redone, and I got a pedicure too, and it was really nice. I got one of those hot wax dips on my feet, which felt really weird because I don't know if y'all are anything like me, because like when I was a kid, and I still do it whenever the wax is like you've blown out a candle and you take and stick your finger in it, and that's no. If your shirt, Belinda, starts coming up, you should be able to restick it. No, it cannot do 30-ounce mugs. There might be attachments for it, but back when we bought it, that wasn't really, the 30-ounce wasn't a real popular size. So, okay, see, that's part of the reason why I'm not a big fan of Caesar is I'm not a big fan of Caesar vinyl for the most part. I like the quality of specialty materials, the Thermoflex Plus, a whole lot better. It seems to hold up so much better, and I like the way it washes a whole lot more. Oh, thank you, Misty. It makes me feel good when y'all say that y'all like to watch it because it makes it feel like it's actually worthwhile. Like, because this to me is another full-time job on top of the full-time job I already have, and then being a wife and a mom and a dog owner and pet owner in general, and just trying to do everything. A little bit of everything, huh, kid? But this one's going to 7th grade, and then Caden is going to be a senior. Yes, the deco film is so amazing. Now that one, because it is so thin, if you stretch it out too much, it will crack because it is so thin. I'm glad I was able to answer all your questions, Diana. I love to be able, that's part of the reason why we do these weekly live Q&As. It's also so y'all can get to know me and we kind of chit chat, but then I also try to get a lot of answers. Okay, so you did infusible ink on a 95% rayon, 5% spandex. Okay, so typically it's polyester that it's supposed to go on. And I know I did dye sublimation on a rash guard the other day, and I left it on the 400 degrees temperature, but I pressed it for like 2 minutes versus the 1 minute that it typically takes, and it worked much better. Okay, so Misty, we have a website, and I will type it in below. We have our t-shirt guide on there. We just released a new one for doing numbers on the backs of shirts. And then also, okay, so silhouette is coming out. Oh, sorry, got distracted. Also the backs of hoodies and things like that. And the silhouette is supposed to be releasing the pricing information and pre-order information in October. And then I think it's supposed to ship around Christmas time. Well, thank you, Dee. I try to answer everything and try to be as open and honest as possible. Yes, Pink Pearls, you can put something on a tie-dye shirt. Now, to warn you about tie-dye shirts is you can get what is called dye migration if you're not using a high quality, like especially if you're putting like white or a light color over that tie-dye. If it is not a good high quality vinyl, you can get what's called dye migration, and sometimes you can still get it even if it is a good high quality. They do make some that's made for dye sublimated shirts that helps stop that, but it just kind of gives it a cool look too if you do get a little bit of migration on it. But what that means is it kind of brings the ink, it soaks it up into the vinyl. So I'm glad you think my t-shirt guide's a lifesaver. I use it all the time. And that's part of the reason why we designed the second one, was because I wanted to make doing names and numbers on the backs of shirts a lot easier. And there's a couple other things that we're working on that I'm super excited about. Because me doing this all day, every day, and getting feedback from you guys, I've started to learn more about what works, because for me, again, that I've done this for years. So for the Cuttin Corners Vinyl, whenever I bought my Cricut, oh, that's terrible that you bent yours. You might be able to warm up like your whatever you're pressing on and lay it back out, and it might kind of lay back down for you. Oh, thank you for congratulating me on my play button. Hi from Puerto Rico. But anyways, when we came up with Cuttin Corners name, I was sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, well, what do? We cut. So it was kind of a joke that it was Cuttin Corners, that, you know, making things easier for whenever you do it, I guess is the best way to say it. So I don't know. It's like one of those things that came in my head and it's just stuck. How you sublimate onto vinyl that's already colored or has a print on it. Well, typically unless it's a light color, you're not going to want to sublimate on vinyl that already has a print, especially not one that's going to have a print on it, because I'm not sure if it would adhere to the inks that are already on there. But you're going to want to sublimate onto a light color, because if you try to do it on a dark color, the way that sublimation works is it doesn't print white ink. That's why everything has to be white or light colored. So it kind of just, sorry, lost all train of thought. But if not, you're not going to be able to see your print. Yes, I love the name of your business. I think that that Christian name is an amazing. Have you watched the video over at Tamika? It's really cool. And we're going to be doing some more videos with it as well. Which print and cut vinyl do I use? I do use specialty materials. Theirs is, what is the name of it? Not Color Jet 3. That's the one for inkjet printable. Color Print. But I also have sitting over there, a Roland Eco Solvent printer. It is, and it's made to print vinyl for outdoor use. Okay, so Misty, you do not layer on glitter. You can put glitter beside glitter, but you don't put glitter on glitter. So you're going to have to use the slice feature. Yes. Oh, I'm glad that you love the new material we've been using. We're going to be adding a lot of new stuff too. We're always working on that, but it's always kind of crazy. So anyways, well, I guess we're going to go ahead and cut this kind of short for today. Typically we stay on here for 45 minutes to an hour. Yes, glitter can be the top layer, but there are certain things that you still can't layer over, like neons. You're not supposed to layer over. Hold on, let's see. Well, I'm glad you finished the ads. That's how I pay for all this stuff. That and Patreon's how I pay for all the extra stuff that I do. No, you don't have to press it right away. Whenever you can sit there and store it for as long as it needs to be. But it's like with anything else that's inkjet printable, I would store it in like an airtight place so that way humidity and things like that don't get to it. But anyways, so we're gonna let this go. We will see y'all soon next Tuesday for a live. We'll have another new video up tomorrow. Cameron's got his crafting with kids for Cameron, or
Kid Crafts with Cameron on
kids.
Thursday.
Thanks. As you can see, my head's hurting and these lights are not making it any easier. So we will see y'all later. Don't forget to check out all of our social media, Instagram, things like that. Oh, I do have a video, Angela, over the Power Press. We've had that in the shop for over a year as like a secondary backup press, and it is really good. And that's on Amazon. It's less than $200. So, yes, Belinda, sublimation can be used on top of white glitter. But I guess that's it. We'll see y'all in the next one. Bye. Okay.